Yo, what up guys, I'm Sammy and welcome back to the Soul Drop, and this is my first impressions look on the Nike Kobe 3 Protro. So the Kobe 3 and the Kobe 2 are the only Kobes that I've never really tried, especially the OGs. And I've tried pretty much every single other Kobe in his entire shoe line. So yeah, as far as the like comparing it to the original Kobe 2, I won't be able to do that for you guys. But yeah, this is the Kobe 3 Protro Halo colorway, and this shoe retails for $210, guys. Nike is just up in the price, guys. And of course, their next most expensive shoe is the Jordan 40, which is $205. As far as the tech goes, they are kind of similar, you know what I mean? But yeah, as far as this Protro goes, they say it's the most like technologically advanced Protro so far, and I guess I do have to agree with them. You know, they are using Cushlon 3.0 as well as the full-length zoom strobo unit, and they also did a couple of things to change up the actual shoe and to improve the performance and make it a little bit more lightweight and stuff like that. But yeah, if you guys do want to cop, I try to leave a free link in the description box, but let's get it started right off with the traction. So the traction pattern, we got a whole bunch of patterns on this outsole, right? So we have a little bit of herringbone, we got some squares as well, and that's pretty much it. But the only thing that they changed as far as like what I can see is this square part here in the forefoot, right? So in the original it was just kind of like squares, but here in the Protro we got squares within squares. And that's pretty much it. So that's their updated traction pattern, and also that's what it says here in this kind of like pamphlet. You know, it actually tells you what they updated, which is pretty cool, right? It says improved traction, and it says additional traction blades. And so yeah, as far as the traction goes, how does it feel on my wood floors? It feels pretty nice. I mean, it doesn't seem amazing for the bite right now, which kind of sucks, but we'll have to see on how it breaks in, right? It stops pretty well, but it does slide around a little bit, you know what I mean? Even when I just like first got it, there is a little bit of a squeak as well, but it's not super loud. Of course, squeak has nothing to do with performance, but yeah, this shoe isn't super squeaky so far. We'll have to see on, you know, if it does get squeakier once I plane it and break it in. But yeah, the actual bite doesn't seem amazing so far. Also seems to be picking up a little bit of dust. I don't know if you guys can see like the dirt here. You know, my floors are kind of dirty right now. It's my dogs are shedding like crazy. So yeah, there's a lot of dog hair, there's a lot of dust, and it seemed to be picking up a good amount of that dust as well. So yeah, as far as I know, the Kobe 3 isn't known for its traction performance, and I feel like they didn't really update the traction too much. But yeah, hopefully, you know, the rubber compound is good. And also as far as durability goes, I don't know, the rubber is pretty hard though. The rubber is hard, but the grooves aren't super deep. Like if you see the actual like square traction pattern, it's not that deep, you know what I mean? Also, this shoe is $210, so I don't really think you should be playing on outdoor court. I guess unless you, I mean, you can if you want, but it's a really expensive shoe. So I guess if you're balling, then who cares? But yeah, the durability doesn't seem amazing. So yeah, the traction performance right now for my first impressions seems okay. And of course, here in the middle of the outsole, we can see an exposed carbon fiber plate. So now moving on to the heel to toe transition, overall it does feel pretty smooth, right? So here in the heel, we have a little bit of a rounded shape. You know what I mean? It's not super squared off, and also it kind of curves up a little bit as well, going here into the tip of the heel. So it does feel nice. It has a pretty nice curve shape, although the entire midsole is pretty much caged. Look at this. The entire midsole, medial and lateral side, and the outsole is caging it, you know what I mean? So it's a really hard rubber, so even when I try to, you know, press it with my fingers, it doesn't really give all too much, you know what I mean? So I wish they would have made it a little bit softer, or maybe, you know, thin the rubber here, you know, because they are, I guess because they are using Cushlon 3.0, they had to make it a little bit stiffer, because Cushlon 3.0 is really soft, you know what I mean? It probably would feel a little unstable, so I guess I understand why they did that, but yeah, I wish it just had a little bit more compression, but it's not super clunky here in the heel, thankfully, because, you know, old school shoes like this, I mean, Kobe wore this shoe for his MVP season from the 2007 to 2008 season, and yeah, I mean, the old school shoes were really stiff, very clunky, but this it doesn't feel too bad. It still has that old school feel, however, right? And then coming here into the forefoot, we still have a nice curve shape, and it also is able to flex. Surprising, that surprised me, you know what I mean? Because again, a lot of old school shoes were very stiff, especially the entire sole of the shoe. But yeah, this one able to flex, and that's a crazy crazy springy feel, right? So I feel like, you know, going out of the first step or doing heel dominant strides, you know, it'll feel very springy and explosive, which does feel nice. Torsion support also feels really, really good. You know what I mean? It's a really stiff sole, like I said. So yeah, I do like how the overall heel to toe transition feels. It's a little bit more on the stiffer side of things, more springy as well, and not super clunky here in the heel. So there's that. Moving on to the cushioning setup. So of course, that is what they updated the most. The original Kobe 3 had a zoom unit, a targeted zoom bag in the forefoot as well as in the heel, I believe. And this shoe, the Protro, is using full-length zoom strobel, right? So you guys already know full-length zoom strobel. I mean, I feel like most people will know how that feels, right? So that's pretty much it, right? You got the full-length zoom air strobel, and underneath that you got the Cushline 3.0 foam. So when I put this shoe on at first, I was like, oh, it feels like very, very familiar. You know what I mean? Like, again, if you know what zoom strobel feels like, you'll know what this shoe feels like. But I actually got the Jordan 40 in, or this colorway, the blue suede in, and I wore these shoes at the same exact time. And the Jordan 40 is actually a little bit higher up off the ground, probably because they make the Zoom X midsole, right, a little bit thicker, you know? So this actually has a little bit better core feel, but still not amazing. I would say it's pretty similar to the Jaw 3. The Jaw 3 is a little bit lower to the ground, but very, very similar in core feel. So definitely not amazing core feel in this shoe, but of course, in place of that, you have crazy cushion. So obviously, stepping comfort, it's really, really comfortable. You have a lot of compression right underneath your foot. First of all, because the insole is kind of nice, you know what I mean? It has a little bit of foaminess to it, but the thing that you feel the most obviously is a full-length zoom strobel unit right underneath your foot, and it has a lot of compression, a lot of bounce, and then underneath that, the Cushline 3.0, I mean, it's not really as noticeable to me. Yeah, I can feel a little bit more compression in the heel compared to shoes like the GT Hustle, you know what I mean? So I feel like the Cushline 3.0 does do a little bit of some, you know what I mean? But it's not like a super thick midsole, right? Like the Jordan 40. The Jordan 40, again, Zoom X is really soft and they made it really thick. So you can feel the Zoom strobel unit, and then underneath that you can feel the Zoom X, you know what I mean? But with this, it's mostly just the Zoom strobel unit that I'm feeling. And then in the heel, I can feel the Cushline 3.0 kind of compressing just a tiny bit more, but in the forefoot and midfoot, not as much, which I think is a good thing. You know, it feels a little bit lower to the ground, a little bit more responsive than the Jordan 40. This is maximum cushion. This is still maximum cushion, but a little bit less, I guess, right? And then again, like I said, we have a little bit of heel compression. So yeah, again, if you know what zoom strobel feels like, this will feel very, very familiar. So there is the cushioning setup there. Moving on to the materials. So they are using a mix of, you know, synthetic leather and as well as like this, I mean, this design on the upper is actually inspired by a basketball net, right? And that's what they also updated. Not the net, but the material underneath it. They said they changed it up to a mesh material so you have better airflow, which we'll get into. But yeah, for $210, guys. I mean, this leather feels kind of cheap. It's like kind of thin. You know what I mean? And I guess like I like that because, you know, I don't want it to be super thick and bulky feeling. So that's good, so it doesn't feel bulky here in the toe box as much, but it just feels kind of cheap for $210. You know what I mean? So yeah, it's not like buttery smooth. I mean, a buttery smooth, very, very nice quality material here in the Jordan 40, and that's what they give us for $5 cheaper, I guess, right? So that kind of sucks, but it's just here in the toe box, not a huge deal. And again, here in the midfoot area, you know, you got this kind of like plastic material, but I was pretty surprised as to how like thin it is, or not thin, but like soft, you know what I mean? Like it's very easy to move, but in like actual like moving outside, like moving inside, it's very, very soft, but then kind of like trying to move it outside, has very, very good support, you know what I mean? So obviously you need more support because your foot's inside and the upper's kind of trying to contain your foot inside of the shoe, inside of the upper, and that's what it does really well, right? And then for the airflow, it actually has pretty good airflow, you know what I mean? Like it surprised me. It's not amazing, but there is a little bit of airflow through the entire midfoot section of the shoe, obviously not the toe box. And also, like on the bottom of the tongue, we have a very thin, like fine mesh material, right? So that also has good airflow. So I like that, right? And then for the tongue, we have like an average amount of padding, not super well padded, but it's also it's a very, very large tongue. We also have the Kobe shield here on top of the tongue as well, with the same type of leather material, not very nice for the quality. Also, it's a half booty construction tongue, giving you a better overall one-to-one fit. And also you can see underneath this material, you can see the mesh material, right? So there's that. And then here in the ankle area, of course, this shoe is a high top, you know what I mean? They're also, I mean, Nike leaked a Kobe 3, or I guess unveiled a Kobe 3 low Protro. So that's pretty cool. Hopefully that comes out soon. It's basically just a low version. I'm not a huge fan of high tops, you know what I mean? I like to have a little bit more ankle mobility, freedom of movement, you know what I mean? But if you like to have that old school feel where you have a little bit more of that ankle support, because this shoe has really good ankle support. Like, I was trying to move my like ankle this way, and it's really hard to, you know what I mean? So again, I'm not gonna like that too much because I like to have a little bit more mobility, but if you like a little bit more of a restricted feel, this is gonna be really nice. And this is like one of the only shoes that you can get that have that type of feel. You know what I mean? Like a lot of, or most basketball shoes nowadays, even if it's like a mid-cut, but most shoes are low cuts, but even if it's a mid-cut shoe, it's not like restricting movement in the ankle too much, but this one does a lot. One thing that I do appreciate, however, is that, you know, the back of the heel where your Achilles is a little bit more cut down. So you have a little bit more mobility going this way, but going this way, obviously you don't want to move this way for, you know, like spraining your ankle. That has good support there, right? And also we have a good amount of padding. It's very, very plush here in the back of the shoe as well. Very old school feel again, like I said, right? And also we do have like this plastic piece, right? That was also in the original Kobe 3. We got a swoosh with kind of like an iridescent glow. And then for this kind of like synthetic leather material in the back of the shoe, we have a whole bunch of Kobe shields. It's a white color, so it's not as easy to see. It's very similar to all the Halo colorways, I believe. So that's a pretty cool detail there. And then in the back of the shoe, we also have a triangle with Kobe shield seen in the original as well, with it saying zoom here. Like a little bit here in the midsole. So yeah, as far as the upper goes, it's actually a lot thinner than I thought, and also a lot softer than I thought it would be. So it comforts my foot well. However, it's just like not the best for quality, which kind of sucks for 210 bucks. But I do like the updated design because, you know, like old school shoes, they're like really thick, very stiff, you know, ventilation is terrible. But this, I feel like since they updated it, again, I haven't tried the original Kobe 3, but if I'm comparing it to like really old shoes that I used to, you know, play in, this shoe feels a lot better, you know, especially for ventilation. It's softer, you know, it's a little bit thinner as well, especially in the toe box. So yeah, there is the upper there. Moving on to the fit. So I went true to my Nike size, and this shoe fits me extremely well. It's a really snug fit, which I do like, right? So lengthwise, I'm good. You know, my toes right there, you know, it's going to the edge of the shoe. So if you want a nice snug fit lengthwise, you should be fine going true to your Nike size. Also, here in the toe box, it's kind of snug, you know what I mean? Like it's pretty much right over my toes. As far as the upper goes, I can curl my toes up just a tiny bit, but not fully, so I do like that. And also with this leather material, it's probably not going to stretch out and get too roomy, you know what I mean? As opposed to modern day basketball shoes where they have like a mesh or textile material, right? Also, as far as the width goes, it's not as narrow as I thought. I don't know what it is, because like Kobe's used to fit very, very narrow for me, but this shoe, it's not that narrow. I would actually say it's like normal width. I have a little bit of space for my pinky toe. It's not like slightly narrow at all. It's just like a normal width for me. So overall, I do like it. You know, length, very, very nice. Toe box, pretty snug fit as well. So going true to my Nike size is a nice fit for me. And I feel like most people, you should be fine going true to size, unless you want a little bit more of a roomier fit or you have a wide foot, then probably go up half a size, right? So there's that. Moving on to the support and lockdown. I mean, this shoe feels like it's gonna be very freaking good. You have obviously the material, which is very supportive, but also I guess not a crazy amount of sidewall here in the forefoot though. You know what I mean? So I mean, you don't need a crazy sidewall because again, the material is very supportive and a little bit more stiff feeling than like your traditional mesh, like modern day mesh material. So here in the forefoot, it feels nice, and also here in the heel, you have this kind of like plastic material, as well as, I guess, not as much of an internal TPU heel count, just a tiny bit though. It feels like it's only like on the bottom of the heel, and then once you get here on top, it's like there's nothing, you know what I mean? But again, this material is like really supported. There's a lot of padding, so yeah, this shoe feels extremely supportive, you know what I mean? It actually reminds you a little bit more of like the AE1 or like the Harden Volume 9, but not like the really old school shoes that have a crazy amount of support where it's just like super stiff, very, very uncomfortable, you know what I mean? I feel like this shoe feels pretty nice for modern day standards, you know? So yeah, so there's that. And also lateral, look at this. Look at the look at the crazy outrigger, you know, it protrudes out like crazy. It's very, very sharp, and it's all just rubber, you know what I mean? So yeah, lateral stability feels very good. Also, like I said, you have a crazy amount of ankle support. So there is a supporting lockdown there, you know, very, very nice. And for most people, I feel like it'll be good, right? Weight though. Moving on to the weight, this shoe does not feel lightweight at all. It feels bulky, it feels a little bit stiff, you know what I mean? So yeah, 14.9 ounces, so pretty much 15 ounces. Let's check the other shoe. 14.8 ounces, right? So yeah, the average weight of my shoes is around 12.5 ounces. So yeah, that is pretty dang heavy. And I feel like, you know, with modern day basketball shoes, like for the past year or two, they've been getting lighter, you know? So I feel like the average weight for like modern day basketball shoes is around 12 ounces, 11.5 to 12 ounces. So this is freaking heavy, you know what I mean? But yeah, I feel like I don't have the original Kobe 3, so I don't know how much they shed off for the weight, because they did say they made it a little bit lighter, but yeah, still doesn't really matter. Around 15 ounces is still extremely heavy, and this shoe feels pretty dang heavy, pretty dang a little bit bulky, not super bulky, however, which is very, very nice, you know what I mean? But it does feel a little bit bulkier than, you know, a lot of guard shoes out right now, like the Sabrina 2, Sabrina 3, obviously, which is fine. But again, it still has a little bit more of the old school feel, but with a little bit more of a modern day twist on it, which I do like, right? And now moving on to the aesthetics, I actually like it. It's definitely not my favorite design though, you know what I mean? I definitely feel like it looks a lot better than the Kobe 2 though. The Kobe 2 looks, that's probably like my least favorite as far as Kobe's entire shoe line goes, in the Nike shoe line, you know, but it looks pretty good, especially the all white. The all white, I feel like all white looks really good in any shoe, but yeah, it looks pretty dang nice in the Kobe 3 Protro. You know what I mean? So tell us what you guys think of the aesthetics down in the comment section below. So wrapping things up, yes, this shoe feels really nice. For 210 bucks, I feel like they should have given us better quality materials, but the cushion feels great. I mean, they gave us the best tech that they have pretty much for the cushion. The traction, hopefully it breaks in a little bit better and has really nice traction, so we'll have to see on that. But everything else is feeling pretty dang nice. As far as like how I feel about it, obviously for me, I am a guard. I like to have a way lighter shoe. I like to have a little bit more of a like lower to the ground feel as well, but still the cushion feels nice. So obviously this is not my type of shoe per se, but I feel like I'll still enjoy it as long as the traction is pretty much top tier. It has really good traction, right? So yeah, there is my first impressions look on the Nike Kobe 3 Protro. Again, if you guys do want to cop, try to leave in the feed link in the description box. But that's it. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.